Welcome to the Teachers Pep Rally. If you missed our last season, we talked about keys to college with emphasis on first generations, reimagining education using agriculture to build community, storytelling and maker spaces with the group from Garner Holt, tips for inspiration from Coach Donnie Campbell. He was the teacher and coach who inspired Ted Lasso. We used the force in the ELA classroom with Dan Z, and talked about being that teacher with Valari Humphrey. That's just to name a few, actually. So please go back and check it out. As Letitia says, binge listen. Now let's talk about life and learning on the Teachers Pep Rally. Welcome back.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, it feels so good, and the space stayed nice and clean.
Yes.
It feels good to be surrounded with my friends, and Fred's doing the happy
I'm
dance.
I'm doing hand dance here. Hand dance.
I'm guys. Missed
High School Musical playing in the background.
Nice. Well, Fred, since you're so happy and upbeat, can you remind us how we got started with this podcast?
I would love to, because I think this is such a great story to share and continue to put out there, even though we all know the story. And we know that some of our listeners have heard it before in various forms, but I think it's still important for us to share it. So it all started when we had met several years ago now, right? Probably 4 years ago, almost. We met at a gathering for entrepreneurs. We talked, we met, we got the vibe, and a lot of neat ideas bouncing around. But of course, we're also all teachers, and we followed up with a phone call. I think it was right at the beginning of COVID. So we're going like 2019. And now we're talking about how, the world is changing and it's impacting students and it's impacting families. And we started to have some great conversations, right, Aaron? We were just saying like, wow, wouldn't it be neat if people, heard what we were talking about and what was really going on in our brains? We're not just like these machines, or we're not really kind of marching to the beat of some kind of standardized drum. We're out there thinking and trying to involve and engage and exercise empathy and all these things. So before we knew it, right, we thought, let's have a conversation. Let's make a podcast. And, it was one of those moments where we put our heads together and we would try to reach out to the people that we think would have been great voices to help create a positive message throughout COVID. And so we reached out.
No, they said no.
They said, how much you paying us? And we said, whatever. You name the price. But it was one of those moments, right, where we reached out, Pete, and then Letitia was brought in, and it was from that point forward, it's been a motivating, uplifting journey. I don't know how other way to put it, but that's the story. And we continue to do this. And here we are again with season 5. And we're continuing to bring in more guests. Hearing the guest intros right from the beginning just now, it just made me realize, if you're new, go back to listen to those episodes. But if you've been here before, go back and listen to those episodes again, because I think every time you listen to some of our talks, there's 4 voices here, right? You're bound to pick up something you missed the first time through. And I think that's the fun part of all this stuff. We keep on sending out a positive vibe that people can take something from at any point. So it's good. So that's our story.
Very well said, Fred. Thank you. And I will say, I have people reach out to me and tell me they have re-listened to certain ones. I don't know if it's because they're going through something at the time and they see in the title that that's what we're talking about, but they've come to me and said, you know what, I re-listened to this one because of whatever reason, and something hit me differently this time. And it spoke to me. So I love that. Well, I'm so excited. Let's dive in. We're going to do like a round robin. I came up with some questions to just kind of check in with some of my favorite people. So I'm going to throw it out there first. And Letitia, I might ask you to first tell us, because I'm interested to hear what was the highlight of your summer?
When I saw the question, I was like, why did she add an S? Highlights.
Just trying to keep it brief, but yes, give us more than one.
Jeez. So, I tried to condense it, but I will say this summer highlight, one of the big ones for me was face-to-face interaction with family and friends. I mean, I for one have been pretty locked down and sheltered in, right? And so just to be around people in their actual space, real space, I'll let our listeners know that, like Fred said, we started during the pandemic, so I'd never physically seen Pete. And this summer, seeing Pete was like a highlight. I was trying to hold back the tears, so I got to get the private jet to go see Fred, but just seeing Pete in person for the first time was pretty emotional, and TPR is like family. So top of the list, family and friends. Believe it or not, guys, I spent 3 days at a silent retreat, no talking. It was life-changing, just an awesome spiritual journey. As I shared with you all, hot yoga. I took my yoga practice from YouTube and in my house to an actual studio. They what was I going to say? They failed to let me know that it was going to be 95 degrees.
Well, AKA hot yoga.
Right, hot yoga. I didn't know it was hot till I got there.
It wasn't balmy.
And I tried to not get hot. That they didn't really emphasize that part, but it was actually awesome, and just expanding the business, and actually read 9 books this summer, guys.
Beautiful.
So I have been reading. So those are my highlights.
We might need to add a episode where we just talk about books we recommend.
Yes.
I would nerd out on that.
Yeah, and I try to read things, even on Audible, listen to things from people that I would never, just different people, different types, different genres. And I'll tell you, Matthew McConaughey's book was a delight.
That was Greenlight?
Oh my gosh. I recommend that you actually do Audible.
Because he's reading it. Yeah.
He's reading it. And I already had a crush, but now I'm just in love, all in.
Cool.
That was awesome. But yeah, guys, 9 books. That was awesome.
That was, to go back to that book, I did read that, or audio book,
awesome.
And I enjoyed it. But I think what my takeaway was his epilogue at the end. That's when all of a sudden I was like, wow, the power of that positive vision. I don't know what that's the right way to say it, Letitia. How he basically said, this is what I'm going to do. And he did it.
He did it. Absolutely.
That was pretty powerful stuff. And he did it on a napkin. That's what I really loved about it.
Right.
All good things.
So if you have any connections out there to Matthew McConaughey, we would love to have him on here to talk about that.
All right. Get him on.
Pete, how about you?
Putting it out there.
Highlights. Family for my wife and I, our 15th wedding anniversary, and to celebrate our son graduating elementary. We did our first family cruise. I've been on a cruise before as a performer, but they've never been. And we did our first family cruise, and it was amazing. It was wonderful. Like Letitia, we haven't done a lot. So that was a big step for us to do that. And we jumped right in, had a great time. It was a wonderful experience. And then jumped right back to work and did a summer camp, a successful production of Music Man with wonderful kids. 2nd graders through 8th graders this time, and they learned an entire show in 2 weeks. It almost put me under. And we had 3 shows scheduled, and then the last show we canceled half hour before meeting time because we had a COVID in the cast, and I had to tell Aaron, don't come. And but focusing on the good, that we got 2 shows and we got to do it. So lots of great things, but those are 2 that bubbled up to the surface quickest. Those were 2 really great experiences.
Sweet. Awesome. I love it. And congratulations to you. You got your kid in middle school. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's big stuff.
That's under challenges. That's the next segment.
Okay. Hold on. We'll get back to that.
Thank you.
Fred.
What mine is an interesting one, and I'm going to try to figure out a way that I could share the pictures from this. So everybody knows that I'm on the tech side of the house in our group here, but this past summer, I've had amazing success growing a cherry tomato plant. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but what the story with this thing is, I think, has a lot of other meaning to it. As a gift about 4 years ago, I was given a really tiny terracotta pot. Now, for those that can't see me, the terracotta pot was about maybe 2.5 inches tall. And it came with a packet of tomato seeds. Now, I'm not a tomato expert. And little planting disc. I planted it last August. And I just wanted to just get it off my counter in my garage. So then I just put it out into another counter, and sure enough, I thought it was going to die, and by September or whatever, it sprouted, and it continued to sprout, and it continued to grow through November, December, January, and all of a sudden now it's got height to it. I'm like, well, now I got to keep it going, and I'm moving it around. So I'm up in the Northeast where it gets very cold in the winter, and I'm moving this pot now. I'm transferring pots. I'm putting it into different locations to get the most sunlight. This thing now is, I want to say it's about 7.5 feet tall. It's about 3 feet wide, and it is producing cherry tomatoes nonstop. And I'm sharing that because we've had a lot of fun just watching this thing, because we were at one point thinking, we're just going to toss this out. And sure enough, we did. Now, everything else that we tried to grow, not so successful, but it's okay. We still have the cherry tomatoes coming off there. But that was a really fun success to see. Yeah. And now the bar has been raised. Like, what do we do for next year's show? Like, what's next year's thing,
Right.
you know? And I think the other big thing too is, without going into specifics, my son finished up a special school for the military, and then, but more importantly, we got to do a guys trip to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and that is just one of those places that is kind of snapshot in time, but yet struggling with where does it belong in 2022. And if you really are, even if you're not a Civil War fan, it's a place where you can experience a really, really pivotal moment. And we went there in July, hot time of the year. And he and I, we did our own thing. We got, burgers and wings in the square area, toured. It was just fun to go down and do that. But what was really interesting about it, I think, was the one day, instead of doing a tour guide, we just took ourselves, because we'd been there before. And we got to the area where the famous Pickett's Charge took place. And they allow you to go so far because it is hallowed ground. Not hollowed ground, as my daughter thinks it is. It's hallowed ground. And we were out there, and it was one of those moments where we were the only two people there. And it was perfect silence, except for some of the bugs, buzzing around and such. But it was one of those moments where it was the vastness of it. And he just looks at me and goes, can you imagine what this day was like to all those guys and the women that were supporting, like, because they weren't on the battlefield as far as we know. But it was just one of those moments where, like, I was so proud of him just to kind of sit and think about the people condition at that moment of it all. And so other than that, yeah, I'm recovering from a surgery, right? So I'm still booted up, still moving on. And that's a positive, because I'm going to be Aaron, wait till you see, I'm going to be like Mylan, going marathoning.
Right. I look forward to seeing that.
As soon as I can get my 90-year-old calf back in shape. So it'll be nice.
A little atrophy.
Just a tad. But those are my two successes. There were some others in there, but I think maybe during the course of our season, I'm sure they'll come out in various ways, because I think for some, we know that we're moving towards a very big day in my daughter's life here this fall. And that is, as a dad, that role is a little different than the mom and the sisters, obviously. Yes. And I'm just like hanging in the winds there. So I'm talking about my oldest daughter will be getting married this fall. So we're really looking forward to that. And big day. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Nice. Yes, very good stuff from all of you. Well, mine's pretty boring. My highlight probably won't surprise you, but the highlight of my summer is I got educated.
What?
More educated.
Thank you.
I got the Green Belt certification through Lean Six Sigma. So that was kind of a good leadership opportunity for me to do through University of Georgia's Executive Business School. So that was really cool. And then the other thing I just finished last week, it's kind of nice to take a break actually from work and the education part, and then roll into the podcast and have fun with you all. I did a Yale course called Women in Executive Leadership, and it was really powerful. And I had to do a lot of self-reflecting and journaling, and I really sat down and took it seriously and took each step each week that they wanted me to do, on top of the lectures and all the other things that we were doing. And at the end of it, really kind of came through realizing that I am not real good at putting up my reasonable boundaries at work. And so I've started kind of playing around with how I enter a dialogue with people about that, and how I start realizing when I'm overwhelming myself with my schedule, and how that's not necessary. And it's so far it's going great. So that's my highlight, is probably that lesson and that work in progress.
Is that something maybe you could share in a future episode?
Yeah, be happy to.
That'd be excellent. That
Yeah.
sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it was really neat.
I thought for a second you were going to say you got a green belt in Taekwondo, but that's a whole other thing.
That was last summer.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, I got it.
I'm doing cartwheels.
That's awesome. That's not, you know,
On board.
but that's
Lot.
not, Aaron, I got to say, that's not light stuff. That's
That's a lot.
that's a lot.
Heavy duty.
Yeah.
It was a lot. And, you know, and I don't even think I know the three of you knew this, but out there, you may not know that I also just finished grad school in May. So I right off the heels of grad school, getting my education leadership certification, went straight into the Six Sigma class, had less than a week, and then the Yale course went after that. So I stacked it up.
And I think the Avengers just sent you an email for an invite to their club. So maybe you're going to be a superhero on top of it all.
Wow, I'd love to be
That's awesome.
Professor X. Yeah, exactly.
All
All right, so Pete,
Aaron.
you joked, but you said a challenge. Do you have any challenges or events or anything?
Hold on, let me get the scroll. Hold on, I have lots. Let me
Oh
roll
my
it up
gosh.
off the floor here.
Yeah.
Hold on. So yes, I am starting grad school. I'm in my third week of grad school,
Yay!
and it is kicking my butt. So,
Focus.
so yes, so that's that. Middle schooler and the business. So schoolwork, all that's coming back. So I'm being asked to, chorus is coming back, and I'm very thankful in the PTA programs and the after school activities and all. It's a lot. Haven't had that in a while, and it's been a few years. We've aged a little, and now we're spread thin, so that's interesting. And then also we're deep in the throes of becoming a nonprofit, the theater group, the production company, and that's also kicking my butt. So there's a lot of butt kickery going on, but we'll all be better for it. So, but yes, those are where I'm at right now, and will be for the next couple of years. So
let us know how we can support you.
If the episodes are delayed coming out, that's what's happening. Oh, Pete is bogged down. It will come out. So,
Pete, what's the degree you're pursuing?
Music ed.
It is. Oh,
Yeah.
Master's in Music Ed.
Mhm.
Impressive. Oh my gosh. Oh,
If you need
So
help
you
with
have to-
homework, we can make an episode.
Oh
Just
my
bring the
gosh.
assignment. We'll do
I'll
it.
just talk, you guys. It's
I do know
And-
that almost any musical song could be put to kazoo.
It's true. This is true. But when you feel putting out the feelers and you talk to the consultant and the representatives, oh, you could do this, you could do this. I swear it's not that bad. And then I met with my professor the night, and he says, "Yeah, you're one of the only ones that are actually working as a teacher right now. And I remember your application. I remember this and this and this
Wow.
about you." He goes, "Yeah, you're on my mind. This is going to be hard. You're going to be great." And I'm like, huh. And the gentleman I was speaking to, he's taught for 65 years.
What?
He's taught for
What?
65 years, and he was doing a Zoom with me. So I said, I can't complain to this gentleman. I need to give it my all, because he put a lot into getting on that Zoom for me.
He's put in the
Aw.
time.
But it's going to be great. It's a lot.
You got that. You got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Just let us know. We
Totally.
can support you.
I will.
How about you, Letitia?
Event or challenge?
Yeah.
Guys, I think for me, the event that really was pivotal was this silent retreat. I'd never done 3 days. And it's just amazing what happens. And 3 days with no technology, by the way, because it's a monastery. And so there's no cell phone, there's no television, nothing, no radio, nothing, not a zippo zilch. And the room is literally like from the 60s. So I can imagine like a priest was like in this room, this tiny little room. But the just stripping myself of all of that and the noise and just the opportunity to be quiet and farm to table meals, napping, no alarm clock. I mean, a spiritual director every day, you know, time of meditation and prayer, and just really being out with nature. You know, it just showed me that in the midst of any situation, we all have the power to create our own environment. Right? Like even in the midst of still this pandemic and monkeypox and all the stuff, the challenges that we all face, right? And so it was just so invigorating for me to be silent. And the funny thing is that you guys know I have 2 phones, and my daughter kept saying, "You're gonna be away for all that time," and you know, all of this pressure. And I actually forgot my phones. So I literally, my phones were home. And I was like, divine intervention.
Very cool.
Divine intervention. So I just, that event was really life-changing. And so I'm going to push it to 5 next time and just keep trying to increase. You know, we give so much, right, guys? We give so much. And silence is scary because we don't, the message is so powerful. But anyway, that's my event this summer that really shifted me in a different kind of way.
That's fabulous. I love that. How about you, Fred? You kind of hinted at your surgery.
Yeah, that will probably be my big challenge, big event. It's something that I had to elect into after a lot of thought and a lot of, research. Again, it's a duplicate of an event that took place to me a while back ago, my other leg in 2012. So I kind of knew what I was getting into. But one of the things that was challenging about it is you really, first of all, you know, how summers are so short, and, you know, we do everything we can, you know, hang on to it as long as we can. This kind of shortened it for me in a way, because I like being out and about and active. So I was really I had to be off of it. I had to have my weight off. It's not like a knee or a hip where you can kind of get right back onto it. This required me to be off of it. So I've learned that I'm very bad at sitting still. And that and then once I got into it, sitting still, I found myself rediscovering some shows that I don't think I ever paid attention to growing up as a young dad, or, you know, involved in starting, you know, doing new work routines. So I kind of fell in love a little bit with classic TV stuff. This is, I say classic, like 90s, but so I would watch it for an hour or two. But my challenge was just learning to sit still, and then realizing that there's some work to do. And so tomorrow will be the green light, I'm hoping, where we begin the next phase. And I know what's in store for that, but I'm ready. I'm more ready for that than the other stuff. But that was my challenge, was accepting the fact that I was going to slow down. And it was really funny, Aaron, and well, everybody. So I know you've all been through life events, and you've all had ailments and, you know, surgeries and everything, but, you know, right, day before, I'm like, you know what? This ain't that bad. Maybe I don't need that surgery right now. I almost talked myself out of it. And it was my wife was saying, "Oh, no, we're going. So it was one of those things where, you know, I get down there, and then sure enough, everything went well. Everything's going well, but it's just summer in a boot. That's my,
what's the next step then, Fred? You mentioned like,
yeah. So so because I'm not allowed to flex it. I have to keep the boot on all the time. And then
flexing.
Yeah. So now the boot will come off. They'll begin to start flexing it, strengthening it. And yeah, exactly, Aaron. And getting stronger. And so the goal is every 5 years, I have an annual run that I take up this large mountain. And so next year is a 5-year anniversary. So the goal is to be ready to do that run. So even if I have to walk it, you know, it'll be good. So just little things like that, you know. I think, Letitia, you kind of alluded to that. It's like good to have these things, you know, pushing ourselves to do these things and getting out there, you know. But good, it's all good though. I'm happy where it is. I just don't want the boot anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that's rough, especially in the summer.
And then you have to sleep with it.
Oh my gosh, what's the bathing deal? So
at first,
I've been wondering the whole time. I'm sorry, guys.
At first, it's kind of bliss. So you just kind of roll. Hey, I don't smell it. I'm feeling good. But then, now it comes off, and you can at first you. It was, you know, it's weird. Like it feels brittle, so it'll be like it feels like it'll snap, and then
Okay.
you get in the shower and it's like you're holding on to your dear life. And then-
Jeez.
but it works out. It works out.
Okay, all right. Did
How
I
about
cross
you,
the
Aaron?
line, Pete? Did I?
No, never. You're fine.
I was thinking it. You just said,
Yes,
about you,
thank
Aaron?
you. I know you were.
get the hose.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So I'm going to share with you all. I decided. So we had an event this summer, and I don't think I told all three of you. It was one of those things where it happened, and I just couldn't talk about it. So we're all pet lovers here.
No.
My 13-year-old sweet boy Zen passed away in July.
Oh, that's right.
So that was tough. We I kept saying it's like we knew. I just kept saying this summer, as everyone at work was planning all these vacations because it was summer. We all were feeling like, oh my gosh, we can finally get out and do things. And so people would ask, what are you going to do? Well, I kept saying, this is what's weird. I kept saying, I think I'm just gonna have an old-fashioned summer. Just gonna hang out the house, and got a little pool in the backyard. We'll sit at the pool and just watch movies at night. And I think it's just something in me just told me this was going to be it with him. So 4th of July weekend, and it happened very fast, thank goodness. And we just had that horrible, where you take him to the vet, you just kind of know, the emergency center, and it was the best decision. We probably could have brought him home, but it just would have been, at that point, the way his back legs were starting to go.
Yeah.
It just would have been miserable for him for a couple of days, just for us to still have him with us. So, we made the right decision, but that was tough. So we're trying to figure out how to, now live without him. And
Right.
even when I came down to record with you tonight, I, for a minute there, thought, oh, this is the first time I'm recording without him, because he'd always wait up at the door for me to come back up. So that was kind of the big event this summer, and something we're adjusting to. We'll probably get another dog at some point, because it just feels like we love that space. But for right now, I'm just kind of mending my heart, because I know.
Family.
Yeah, that's hard. That is hard.
Yeah. So that was a tough event, but I wanted to share it with you as my family.
Oh, thanks, Aaron.
Okay. Looking forward. Let's look forward now. I wrote down eyes on the horizon. I have no idea, but when I was thinking about what we're going to be talking about, there was like
I was like, fancy.
yes, there was like this Barry White, Pete, was in the background.
Very well.
Eyes on
Everything
the
goes back.
horizon. What are you looking most forward to this year?
Oh,
Anyways,
go ahead, Fred.
no, I was gonna say, who were you asking someone
I
specific?
wanted to see who would answer. I just wanted to see who would answer first.
I had one word that I wrote down. It was the first word that came to me, and I just think it sums up everything that I'm hoping for all aspects of our lives, my life, professional, family, animation, all that stuff. It's just growth.
Mm.
There's been a lot of stagnation. There's been a lot of setbacks. You put the word forward, and I look forward to further growth. I think that's a good word for us, and for TPR, for us individually, for our families, for our careers, and for our well-being.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
like that too.
absolutely love that. Well, I guess last year my words were movement, exploration, and wisdom. And this year, I think I'm on the same vein as Pete. I put down pushing the limits. I just want to push the limits in every area. So I'm with Pete on that, just pushing. Anything complacent needs to go. It's time to rough up some things and shake some things off. So for me this year, pushing the limits. So guys, hold me accountable. Listeners, hold me accountable. We're gonna push the limits this year.
Ooh, they've gotten good at this, Fred.
I know. Boy, oh boy. I was just going to say, I'm looking forward to the summer of 2023, but that's a whole other story. I'm already there.
Me too.
I feel tainted by this. I feel my answer is tainted because I'm already 3 weeks into the semester, and I'm seeing something that I'm not quite sure how to describe it, other than I think you just kind of alluded to it, though, is kickstarting, or Pete, I think you just kind of said it. We've been stagnant, and it's incredibly evident. And I think for me, it's not so much a new thing of, looking for a new level of growth or anything like that. It looks like it seems like it's more about getting the choo-choo train back on the tracks. Because it feels like we've been in a coasting mode for various reasons, and they're all well-founded. But it feels like also I'm seeing something like, wow, you didn't know this. You got to do, it's a lot of that going on, a lot of conversations about, because we've all been doing this a long time, and there's a lot of assumptions that we could easily make, but we quickly could forget that when we're talking to students who haven't seen this stuff before. And I think maybe that's where my vibe is, my vision forward is to just be patient.
Right.
Be patient, because we got to get them back on track. And for how eager we are to ready to go, they're not that they're afraid. They just need a little bit of a lift.
Yeah. That's a great point, Fred.
That is a good point. I wrote down joy. I think I'm ready for more joy, celebrating, because joy is all around us. And I think, and I'm going to hint at something. We're not going to tell them yet, though, Letitia, but I think Letitia's gotten onto something that's going to start us in the right foot every week next week. So tune in.
I love
tune
that.
in to hear what that's going to be. So joy. I think I'm going to be looking for the joy and celebrating all the little to big things.
That just made me think of the Hallmark Christmas channel. So that's all good stuff.
Good. Okay. Well, great. So
on that note,
what are some themes that we're hearing or seeing bubbling up? Like Fred, I feel like you hinted at it a little bit. Right? Getting back on track. You're not the first person I've heard that from, and I'm hearing all different ways of people doing that, even all the way far as like, okay, we're back. Like there's no more coddling. There's no more any of this stuff. Like this is, you gotta shape up or ship out. Right. So,
Erin, you're absolutely right. And, obviously you guys know that I'm a therapist now full-time. And I want to caution us doing that, because I'm seeing them on the other end. And so I have clients who, especially high schoolers, who teachers are like, that's it. You miss algebra 1, or it was online. And so now we're going to cram, and the kids are stressed out. And so I love Pete's word of patience. We have to remember the totality of everything.
Yep. And celebrate where people are at and when they make that growth. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead, Letitia.
Oh, no, go ahead, honey. You're good.
Well, I was just going to say, the other big thing I know, at least in Georgia, and I think, Fred, you've sent us some stuff too. I mean, school safety is a big one right now. So I'm hoping that maybe we can, if anyone out there has some connections to that, we'd love to talk about that here. That's a big one.
Yeah, and that's on my list too, Erin. Campus safety in the K-12 space and campus and on college campuses. As just kind of refreshing. I have a niece that's now a junior in college, and she was with me this summer, and the statistics are real. The stuff happening to young women on college campuses and things being swept under the rug, and it's real. And so, I'm thinking of that aspect. Of course, Uvalde happened, right? And so those kiddos are going back and are afraid and traumatized. So that's on my list. And guys, learning loss. Fred, you mentioned learning loss, right? That we got to get them back on track. So that's a big topic out there. And something I've been kind of screaming about for the last 6 or 7 years is teacher, staff recruitment, and retention.
Huge.
Yes, Erin is showing us her notes.
Teacher retention. We are not short on teachers. There are teachers out there, right, Letitia? There's not a teacher shortage. We need to fix the system.
Correct. Yeah. And that's really where it's at. And so, those are some hot topics for me, and I'll be working hard to, we will all be working hard to find guests that can support these ideas and just keep that dialogue going. But I think supporting teachers for me is going to be paramount. The ones we do have, because mental health is really, really very fragile right now.
Yeah, I agree. And our first guest for the next episode, I think is going to fit in nicely with that because we are intentionally starting off with a guest to help us think about self-awareness and how we can start doing that.
She's gonna be excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What else, Letitia? We've got a couple guests coming up. I know that you've got some that you've got holding on the wires. Do you want to share a couple of the topics that we're going to be hearing this
Well,
season?
Some of those guests I want to keep silent for now, right? I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. However, I am super excited that we have Ashley Gibbs coming on. She's coming from A Dare to Lead, the work by Brene Brown. And I'm excited about that because, you know, in all of our talk, we have to remember our leaders, right? So I'm just hoping that we'll be able to really encourage our leaders to maybe moving forward, being more proactive instead of reactive, right? And just inspiring them to have the courage to lead the way they know is best.
Yes.
You know, the last 2 to 3 years, or at least 2 years, has been a lot of things being done at them and not with them. So I'm really excited about Ashley coming on and kind of giving us her take on that.
Me too. And, you know, the other thing is we're looking at this season to really get some voices in here we haven't had a chance to hear from yet. So, you know, people that work in our cafeterias, we just earlier mentioned, we love to talk about school safety and security. I'd love to get some bus drivers in here and talking about what that
Absolutely.
experience is like. So if you know anyone like that, let us know. But I think this is going to be a fun season where, again, we're learning from each other and we're seeing the similarities in the demeanor and the characters that come on here and share their experience and insight. So I'm super, super excited that we're back to school in 2022 and that we're all together again.
Yes.
This is very exciting.
Yep.
Pete, do you want to tell everyone how they can find us?
Our Facebook group. Say hi, let us know, give us some suggestions. Maybe you say, hey, I think I should be on the show. I was listening, I got an idea. Here's a topic. Let's keep the conversation going. And also, we're now on Instagram. I started an Instagram one, bit by bit, getting it on there, past episodes and whatnot. So that's up there too. So Teacher Pep Rally on both Facebook and Instagram. And our website, teacherpeprally.com.
Thank
And
you
YouTube.
very much, Pete.
We're all over, right, Mr. Fred?
Yes.
We are all
everywhere.
over.
I'm just waiting for the billboard signs in New York.
Oh,
that
boy.
Spreading the love.
The
With
skywriting.
With Fred flexing.
Yeah, Fred flexing because we got to
Fred
get him
flexing his boot.
There
Okay.
it is.
I
There-
can't
There's
even.
the boot.
I can't even. It had to go that high.
I know. I,
mean,
think I just pulled the hamstring.
right. I need
much for
you
that.
to not break anything else.
So much for
Not
that
break
mountain.
anything else.
Let's keep all our
Looking
parts
for
in
joy.
place.
Yes.
All right. So
Awesome.
anyways, welcome back. This is going to be an amazing year. We're still going to
Yes.
talk about things. We're going to keep it real, but welcome and keep listening and leave us reviews. We can't wait
Please.
to
Please.
get back at it. So good to see all of you.